So first of all, I'm gonna go the basics. So number of staff, how much are you guys right now?
9 staff, 3 partners, so 12 in total.
Okay. Uh-huh. And the location?
Burlington, Ontario, Canada.
Okay. And the services you provide?
Tax file, business and personal tax filing, bookkeeping, CFO services, tax planning, and business planning.
Okay. And when did you start with TaxDome? You remember?
Late 2022.
And what was your growth over the past year?
Yeah, we doubled. Actually, we more than doubled. So in 2022, we were at 350,000, and we hit over $1 million last year. We did 1,083,000.
How many clients do you serve right now?
We're serving about 160 families right now.
And are the clients based in a particular industry?
Yes, pharmacy and dentists.
Okay, so now I'm gonna start with the questions about life pre-TaxDome. Okay. So what problems or inefficiencies, were you trying to solve back then? So for example, was there an inefficient manual process? And if yes, can you describe one?
Yeah, one of the biggest manual problems that we were having is chasing clients for documents that we needed, whether it's a monthly statement, bank statement, credit card statement, or sales report, stuff like that we were doing manually. And it was taking us a lot of time and costing us a lot of money because we had to spend time doing it. And so one of the pain points that we had, it was just, we wanted to automate it, but we didn't have a process on how to actually do that.
And Ricardo, do you have a number of how long did you chase your clients, like days, weeks?
Oh yeah, there would be some clients that were just really bad where we would chase them for weeks or even some months. Even to this day, our clients have gotten a lot better, but we still have some clients here or there where we're chasing them for things, 1 month later, 2 months later, three months later. But the majority of the clients now, they do respond much faster.
Okay. Firm internally, like what issues did you have back then?
Internally, the issues that we were having is knowing who was working on what file and in what stage of the file were they at. So for example, if we were doing a tax return, where in the tax return stage were they at? We really didn't have that visibility. Were they in the document gathering stage? Were they starting to prepare the tax return file, or was it prepped and waiting for the client to answer some questions, or was it waiting for the client to sign off? Where was it in that process? So we didn't have any visibility as to where in the process or how long it was taking. We didn't have time entry system to track how long it was actually taking us to prepare a tax return or monthly bookkeeping or any other task that we were doing for clients.
So to summarize, you had issues in the client communication and the turnaround of tasks, then the visibility, the oversight of your firm, and the manual data entry and time entry back then.
Exactly. Okay. And because everything was very manual, we would forget. We would forget, and then things would fall through the cracks. Weeks would go by, we would forget to follow up with that client, and then client responds back saying, hey, where is my stuff? And even though the client didn't give us stuff in the beginning, we are the ones who look bad because we didn't do our follow-up because everything was very manual.
And how did your tech stack look like back then? Did you had a lot of tools? How did they communicate with each other? What issues did you face back then?
Yeah, in terms of the tools, Yeah, they definitely didn't talk to each other, which was very frustrating. Clients got confused because we would tell them, hey, use this for this, use that for that, use this for this, right? And so there was multiple touch points there, and clients forget where to actually go. Hey, I want to upload a document. Okay, you have to go here, right? Or I have to do this, sign off, I have to go here, right? So everything was very disconnected, very disjointed. Clients forget. I don't blame them. So having a centralized source to do all this kind of stuff has definitely saved clients time and saved us time.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing. So then you said it cannot continue like that, and you need some changes. So what goals or improvements were you looking to achieve?
Yeah, we just didn't know because there's so many different workflow softwares out there. We just didn't know which one was right for us. So the problem was no one really teaches us this kind of stuff in school, nor are there any coaching programs that really dive into how to do and how to manage your workflow, or at least from what I've seen. And we've been in many coaching programs, so this was one of the challenges, is that we just didn't know what to look for. um, and so we actually went through maybe 3 or 4 different workflows before stumbling across TaxDome. Yeah, we just didn't know what we were looking for, and each time that we moved on to a new workflow, we realized what we were actually looking for, what the missing pieces were, and we were hoping to find something that kind of brought everything together. And we just didn't know what other options there were out there, right? So that was the problem with our workflow, was that we just didn't know what the differences were between all the different software. So it was more like a trial and error. We had to try out some, find that we didn't like it, move on to the next one, until finally stumbling across TaxDome.
And for the other firms out there, what would you say was the trigger point where you said, we can continue like that? What made you make the decision to start looking now for a workflow tool, for example?
Just the manual stuff, it was just driving us nuts, because we were spending so much time doing stuff very manually, and managing everything via spreadsheets. And it's very inefficient, and that spreadsheet got very messy very quickly. So that was our trigger point to say, we know that we could be doing the work much faster. We know that we could be meeting timelines much better, but we can't be managing everything in our heads or on spreadsheets. There has to be a better way of actually doing this. So that was our trigger point, was getting things done faster, more efficient, and most importantly, things not being, falling through the cracks, because then we were the ones looking bad with clients. We did lose some clients because of poor workflow. And that was our trigger point to say we need to find a workflow software. And each time that we went through some, we found things that we didn't like, or was a deal breaker for us. So yeah, the biggest one was, work wasn't being done on time, or mistakes, or not getting stuff from the clients on a timely basis, because everything was very manual.
Okay. So you mentioned that you were looking, to solve the oversight, the visibility, perspective or issue in your firm. How has TaxDome helped you resolve that issue?
Yeah, it's a one-stop shop, really. So everything that we do now is in TaxDome. I don't have, 3 or 4 different pieces of software that I need to send to the client to say, hey, please upload your documents here, please sign here, please log in here for this. So TaxDome, it allows me to automate every single month. On the first of the month, we send out an automatic message to our bookkeeping client saying, hey, please upload this, this, and that. It automatically goes out, and it reminds the clients every few days until they actually finish what they have to do. So that automation saves us a lot of time. And then
Okay.
being able to track where things are at in the pipeline and when their due date is, so that if I have a tax return that's due at the end of this month, for example, it allows me to prioritize that file and really dig in deep to see where's, like, in what stage of the tax return are we at? Is it a problem because of the client, or is it a problem because of us? Like, is a staff member not doing his job properly or her job properly? So it allows me really to go in and really see what's the problem here and come up with a resolution. And two, it really allows me to manage my staff because I can see who the better staff are and maybe who the weaker staff are. And that way I can have a conversation with the weaker members to coach them, to get them up to that standard. Or if they aren't working out, if they're repeatedly not, meeting their timeline, so on and so forth, TaxDome gives me that visibility, and then I can make that call to say, are we going to continue with this person, or are we going to let them go? So, but most importantly, it's just to save us time and making sure we're meeting the timelines for clients, and us being able to manage the workload for our staff.
Perfect. Nothing to add here. And another thing you mentioned is, that it took the clients a lot of time, to finish something, but also to reach them, to run after them. So your turnaround of a task was just, very, very slow and long, So how has TaxDome helped you resolve this issue?
Yeah, so things have gone down. It was taking us about 20 or 30 hours a month in doing a bookkeeping task for a client, and that was way too long. Most of that was just chasing the client. So some clients were just very bad at that. And now we have got that down for the clients who are good, anywhere between 5 or 10 hours per month, which is what we want. For some of the slower clients, maybe it get there, 10 to 15 hours a month. And then for the poor clients, maybe somewhere between 10 or 20 hours. But those are the clients now that I can see through TaxDome which are those clients that are taking us more than 10 hours per month, because then now I have to assess, do we want to keep that client on, or do we want to let them go, because we want clients working on our terms, right? If we're constantly having to chase clients, that's more time that we have to spend, and it's not profitable. I would rather, someone who takes me, no more than 5 or 10 hours per month than a client that takes me, 10 hours or more per month. So it allows me the visibility to say, do I want to keep this client, or do I maybe want to fire them and hopefully bring on someone else that, that I can have better timelines on, and effectively, be more efficient with our time and make more money because I'm spending less time on that file.
Wow. So from 30 hours to 5 hours a month. So this is around 80% where you shortened the time. 80%. Wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
And then the last issue you mentioned was the tech stack. So, all over the place, you had to annoy your clients, with different tools. How has TaxDome helped you resolve this issue?
Yeah, everything is in one spot, which is great. So we just tell the client, log into TaxDome. Everything that you have to do is going to be in there. And one of the things that I really like is that you have a very friendly app. It's very easy to use. So clients can download the app on their phone. They can action items there. They can take pictures of things, upload it. They don't necessarily need to be on a computer. Whereas some of the previous workflows that we were on, you had to go on a computer. If you downloaded on your phone, some of them didn't even have an app, but for those that did, it was terrible. It was a very bad user experience. So a lot of our clients, like everything, most of our clients want to use their phone to do stuff, right? So having a centralized source for everything, for clients to upload documents, to sign off on documents, for us to do our workflow, for everything to be on one platform, it's huge. It costs us less money too, because now I don't have to spend money on, 4, 5, 6 different pieces of software. I just have one that I can do everything for a client for, and it's much easier for a client because they just need to know one place to log in for our client portal, and not member, all these different things. I have to log in here for this, there for that, and all that kind of stuff. So having everything centralized into one helps us, and it helps the client.
Perfect. I mean, regarding the client mobile app, I can tell you that it's one of our most popular feature. Oof, like clients, the download of the client mobile app is just increasing daily. Would you say that people are now happier to work or to deal with their content? Or would you say it affects the client experience, the client retention?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because the workflow software that we used before coming to TaxDome, their app was terrible. People couldn't even take pictures or upload documents through the app. And that was one comment that I kept on hearing from my clients, is that the app sucks. We can't do anything on it. Sometimes I just have my phone. I just want to take a picture of the document that you're asking me for. So yeah, it definitely has been huge. Clients have really liked it. And that was the main reason why we ended up leaving the other workflow tools, because their app was just terrible. So your app is very good. I really like it. Clients like it. So it's definitely been a game changer for us.
So we talked about the issues. We talked about how TaxDome solved that. What I'm very curious about is, did TaxDome provide you with any benefits that you were not expecting, which you were not aware, but because of TaxDome, you found this out, and now you could even scale it up, or some new process or new value you could bring to your clients because of TaxDome?
Yes, what I didn't know about when we first signed up, and something that's new. So one thing that I would say that I like about TaxDome is that you're constantly innovating. So you're constantly making changes, and you're listening to the feedback that we give you, and you're implementing those changes. And you guys do so very quickly, whereas some of the other ones that we were with, it would take forever. So that's one thing that I wasn't expecting, that I really like, the quick pace of change, and how quick you guys are to act on the feedback that we give. Some other things that I didn't expect from TaxDome is to send out my engagement letters and the proposals straight through TaxDome, and do all of my billing through TaxDome. When we first signed up, yes, you had your invoices, but in terms of the engagement letters and all that kind of stuff, I wasn't really expecting that from TaxDome. So now that you guys have that, it's another tool that I can get rid of and centralize everything TaxDome. So that's one thing I wasn't expecting. Same thing with the SMS text. That was one thing that was always in the back of my mind, saying, trying to chase clients for documents and all that kind of stuff, right? Sending a request through text is much, much quicker. But I wasn't really expecting TaxDome to have that feature, and now you guys do, right? So that's also very cool, and I wasn't really expecting that.
All right, good. So have you noticed improvement in client retention since you began using TaxDome?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. We're definitely losing less clients. We aren't perfect. We do lose clients every single year, but more so, it's not because of workflow now, whereas in the past it was because of workflow, where maybe things were, getting lost through the cracks and all that kind of stuff. So really, the clients that we're losing, it's because now they aren't working on our terms, which is, we want people to use the portal for absolutely everything. For those people who refuse to use the portal through TaxDome, those are the clients that we're losing. So it's not so much workflow problems. It's us now streamlining our process, and those people who don't fit with that process are the ones who are leaving. Or sometimes, we make a mistake, and that's our fault, nothing to do with TaxDome or workflow or anything. Sometimes, like every tax and accounting firms, you're bound to make mistakes. And so if we lose a client, it's either for one of those two reasons. Either they just don't fit with our process, or maybe we just made a big mistake that the client wasn't happy with and they left.
So, okay. So you said the client experience increased since using TaxDome. Do you have a number? Did you track it before, and what is it now? For example, before it was 50%, now it's 80. Do you have a number in your head?
Last year, I can count with one hand how many clients that we lost. It was only about 3 or 4. Whereas in previous years, I would probably say that was maybe more like maybe 5 or 10. But that's a number that we don't track right now. And yeah, I would love to be able to give you more precise answer on that, but yeah, that's
Awesome.
definitely
Well,
something that we're not tracking right
I will follow up in 2025 again.
now. Okay.
So you mentioned also about saving time for your team, for your firm. Do you think you have a number in your head how much time TaxDome saves you now per employee or per day or per task?
Yeah, I would probably say, working on a client file, it saves us at least 10 hours or more a month because of the, chasing clients for follow-up and all that kind of stuff. It would take us, 20 or 30 hours to do um, to do bookkeeping for a client in 1 month, and honestly, that's way too much. So to cut that down to on average, 10 hours a month, um, that's half, right? So I would probably say 50% or more.
Wow. Okay. And about productivity, so you say that we save, TaxDome saves you, let's say, more than 50% now than before. How many returns did you usually, or were you usually able to process before TaxDome, and now because of this optimization, increase of productivity, how much do you process now?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So one of the biggest problems that we had, and we continue having too, is um, knowing how much a staff can handle, like one staff member can handle. So capacity planning, that has been a pain point for us because once again, no one teaches us this kind of stuff. We have to kind of figure it out. And I haven't really seen any sort of coach out there that kind of teaches you, hey, this is what you should be doing. And everyone's different. So, when I'm chatting with my peers and all that kind of stuff, everyone gives me different answers. So this is one of the challenges that we've had and we will continue facing. But at least now, knowing the visibility of how long it should take us to do a file, like bookkeeping, for example, shouldn't take us more than 10 hours a month. It just shouldn't. In between chasing the client for documents and doing the actual bookkeeping and all that kind of stuff, it shouldn't take us more than 10 hours a month. And so that has allowed us to be able to start scaling our business because now I know if I hire someone, they're working for us roughly about 135 hours a month. We have team meetings and all that kind of stuff. So, back out those team meetings, really, it's about 120 hours a month of work. So if it's going to take us 10 hours on average for a client, some are going to be less, some are going to be more, but let's just say on average 10, I know that I can give them 12 monthly bookkeeping clients for an established business. All right. Whereas before, I really didn't know that number. And so we just kept on shoving clients onto a bookkeeper. And, the bookkeepers were too nice and they weren't telling us, hey, this is too much work for us. And that was also part of the problem that we were having is that, it was too much work for one person and doing everything very manual was taking up more time than what it should. So that's where a lot of problems were actually happening. But now that I know, we peg it down to a science, I can now use that to plan. So, now for 2024, we have growth plans to say, we're going to get X number of clients throughout the year. Now I'm able to plan out how many additional staff am I going to need to be able to service those clients. And very similar on the tax return side, right? How many hours does it really take to be able to do it? Now it's down to about 2 full days of getting a tax return done. So once again, based off of that, I'm now able to put, much greater dollars and cents to planning out my staff, and based off of the number of returns that I have and how much we forecast to grow for this year, I know with much greater clarity how much more staff that I'm going to need and what the current workload is for my current staff. So just having that visibility, it's definitely huge.
Perfect set for scaling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you mentioned before the workflow automations. I would love to hear more about this. So how have the automations helped speed up jobs or tasks? How did those workflow automations, help you?
Yeah, it helps us in streamlining the process. We lay out the groundwork to say this is how we want the work to get done, and we list it out into those different steps. And with the workflow automations, we are able to separate the different stages and what you need to do within that stage, so that when our staff or when our team are doing the actual work, they don't forget things. Whereas one of the things in the past was we didn't really have this infrastructure, so everyone was kind of doing the work the way that they thought that they should do the work, and maybe sometimes they were missing steps, or maybe we had some couple times where they would go ahead and file the return without taking XYZ steps that they should have taken, right? So those were some of the problems that we were having, is that we didn't have clear documentation, clear processes. With the help of TaxDome, we have been able to set clear workflows separated out into stages, and each stage has a set task list as to what each person needs to do, and they need to check off the boxes so that if we find a mistake, we can go back and say, look, you forgot to do this, but you checked off the box that you did it, right? So it allows us to really call the shots as to how we want the work to get done, document that process so that our team can follow it. And if there are problems, we can always go back to reference, what the steps were. And there's always room for improvement. So at any point in time, if there's a process change that we need to make, we can easily go back into the workflow automations and change that. So that's been a big game changer as to streamlining things so that our staff can do the work as to how we want them to do the work without us having to micromanage them all the time, which we don't want to do.
Right. And regarding your staff, how has the experience been for them? What do they say about TaxDome?
Yeah, TaxDome, it's a great piece of software. There's so much that you can do with it. People can get lost in the beginning, but the good thing is that you have a very good training program with trainers. They're happy to spend time teaching our staff. So that's what we do now for every single staff member, is once they get hired, they go through your training program. And what's great is that you guys, if we really wanted to have our team member get trained every single day, you guys have that option, right? So you can book maximum one meeting every single day. So having that flexibility for you guys to train our team on how to use TaxDome definitely goes a long way. Once people get it, they love it, because there's so many things that you can do within TaxDome. It just takes a little bit of time to get to know all the bells and whistles and how everything works. I have only heard positive comments that at my previous firm, we weren't doing this. So what you guys have, this is far greater than anything that I've ever seen. And with the help of TaxDome, we've been able to put that together. So they've been very happy with it. Yes, like anything in life, we have to go through a bit of a learning curve first, and then they're comfortable with it, and it's very easy to actually use.
It's worth it, right? It's worth the time to.
Yeah, it's worth it.
So Ricardo, tell me a little bit about the future. What are you expecting, to happen in the next 3 years? How does your growth look like? Are you thinking about the new service to expand? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, so I still consider us a very small business still. So in terms of the services to expand, we are very happy with the services that we have. It's just about scaling now. We really spent the last year, 2023, in terms of improving our processes, and we still have some things that we need to put together. But now 2024 is the year that we plan on starting to scale. So really, in terms of the clients that we service, it's still going to be pharmacists, still going to be dentists, The services that we offer are still going to be exactly the same, but now, we've been able to streamline our processes, and that next stage is now really starting to scale. So now that we hit our first million in revenue, now the goal is to take it to 2 million and 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, hopefully as quickly as possible. Hopefully a lot faster than what it took us to get to this first million, because this is our first business too. We had no idea what we were doing, and in many aspects, we still don't know many aspects of what we're doing. So now that we have a better grasp of the workflow and the processes and all that kind of stuff, really the next step for us is really to start scaling.
Awesome. Well, all the best for this. And Ricardo, why would you recommend TaxDome to other, or first of all, would you recommend TaxDome to other Canadian firms? And if yes, why?
Yes, I definitely would, because your workflow software is actually focused on the tax and accounting industry. Some of the other workflow softwares, they weren't. And so you guys get us. You understand, the problems that we're having, and you listen to the feedback that we give you, and you're pretty quick to implement changes, and you're constantly coming out with new ideas. You are constantly changing, or not changing, but you're adding new features and making improvements to your own software, which is really good. Whereas in all the other workflow softwares, we never really had, or I never really felt that there was like a very good feedback process, to give feedback and seeing how quickly the changes were being put into place and all that kind of stuff. So main thing is that one, I really like it. It's easy to use. You guys are focused on our industry. You understand us. You are quick to listen to us, give feedback, and take the feedback and actually implement those changes. And it's good because you get to centralize a whole bunch of different apps into one, so that I don't need to go out and have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different pieces of software. I can just use TaxDome for most of it. So that is one area that I really do like, is the consolidation of everything. You guys get us, and you guys are focused on tax and accounting industry. So, and you guys give us so many templates out there for jobs that we can, take that, use that as a framework, and modify that to our specific firm, and that really saves us a lot of time.
Great keyword. I wanted to follow up here regarding templates. So maybe some Canadian firms would see like, okay, TaxDome, they're out of the US. It's too much focused in the US. Did you miss anything for a Canadian accounting firm or for a Canadian firm?
No, it doesn't really matter. Most of the stuff, like even the templates, there's a whole bunch of templates there for Canadian firms, Canadian tax, Canadian sales tax. I use those as a baseline, and then I added in our steps as to what we do in our firm. But it definitely saved me a lot of time, and it was very specific to the Canadian market. So in terms of that, yeah, there's nothing really to worry about, whether you're based in Canada or the States or anywhere really. So yeah, there's nothing to worry about there.
All right, Ricardo, then thank you so much for your time. It was very insightful. We learned a lot from you and how you manage your firm. We are very happy that that you like TaxDome, that you grew with us, because we're growing with you, obviously. And please, don't stop giving us feedback, because we really appreciate and need this to become, the best and stay the best.
Got it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all the hard work that you guys are doing. The service is great. The trainings are great, and you're constantly innovating, which is definitely something that we really like. So thank you.
Appreciate it.